3 days on from the Champions League epic quarter-final second leg. At the Etihad, we had the Premier League meeting, and it was always going to be a test of endurance for both sides, physically and mentally, after that epic encounter. For Manchester City, Shaka, they came through it. It was a similar fast start. They got their goal, and they rode it out in the end. But what did you pick up from this performance?
Listen, both sides made changes, but this was always going to be a bigger game for Manchester City. Once they got the early goal, of course, everybody started speculating and wondering, are we going to have history repeat itself so soon after Wednesday night's epic encounter? But again, for me, I thought City, despite the possession, despite kind of controlling the tempo of the game, let themselves very open. And in fact, I thought Spurs created more and better chances. And yes, I know Bernardo Silva went down for a penalty that quite easily could have been given, but that's one of those where I have to say I'm right on the fence with this. I understand why Michael Oliver didn't give it. I don't think you pick that up sitting in real speed without the benefit of VAR, but at the same time, very thin margins. All that being said, I thought that City rode their luck for large spells, and in my mind, and of course I'm biased here, but I thought Ederson was City's best player on the day. With some of these saves that he had to make, with his anticipation, this quite easily could have slipped away from City.
Yeah, Spurs had 3 really good opportunities in the first half, despite City scoring the opening goal. And it was like that other game in a sense. How big a challenge was this for Manchester City in the scheme of things, with what they have left remaining, of course the derby to come? How big a challenge and how big are those 3 points?
It's absolutely huge. When you look at City's remaining schedule, this was the biggest of the stumbling blocks. And I know they've got United to come at Old Trafford, but United have not been playing anywhere near as well as Spurs have been playing of late. Of course, it's a City derby, so there's all sorts of different context to it than Manchester City Spurs. At the same time, you look at City's results kind of coming into this, I don't feel they've been scoring as much as you would think they should. Certainly kind of given the statistics around their play and their possession. And that will continue to be a little bit of a concern, because as much as now that the dust has settled and you step away from the game itself, you say, listen, you come up against a team who are arguably playing the best or near enough top 2 or 3 best teams in English football right now. As much as you come up against who are effectively a Champions League semi-finalist and you get all 3 points, it wasn't as comfortable as that. There were some very nervy moments for City, particularly late on. So you take the 3 points for what it is. You go back to the top of the table. You put the pressure back on Liverpool to win their game, albeit it'll move them to a game more than Manchester City. But you just wonder if City have what it takes. As of right now, I continue to believe, yes, I continue to believe that City have more than enough to get the better of everybody else remaining in their schedule. They're the only ones who can shoot themselves in the foot, but maybe you can say they did that by conceding 3 against City in the Champions League. City have shown that they can shoot themselves in the foot from time to time.
So that vulnerability exists for you. What is the one thing that they should be doing between now and 4 days' time when they go to Old Trafford to prepare and to get themselves ready for the run-in, which is going to be pretty difficult for them with the games away from home as well?
Listen, at this stage of the season, you don't do anything different. You continue to prepare as you've done all season long in leading up to these types of games. Anytime you start to change your routines, I think that pressure kind of gets to the players. And Pep Guardiola should know that better than any other manager in world football, given where he's been and what he's achieved. The one thing I'd like to see them do more, certainly on game days, is include Leroy Sane a whole lot sooner than we've seen over the last few weeks. I have no idea what's happening between Pep Guardiola and Leroy Sane. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but I just feel that City look a whole lot better, a whole lot more purposeful with Leroy Sane on the park. Raheem Sterling had an outstanding opportunity just after Sane came on. Gazaniga produced a very good save. But to have that threat from on both flanks, I think City look all the more dangerous. That's the only thing that me kind of sitting well away from the sidelines can advise Pep Guardiola to do, though I'm not sure that Pep Guardiola really needs my advice.
Okay, so just a word on Tottenham Hotspur as well in this race for the top four. They could theoretically, with the game still to be played, find themselves outside the top four after the weekend. It's that tight. Would Pochettino have been that disappointed with the way that they played, or with the result not getting anything out of this?
Not at all. Not at all. I think this was always going to be a difficult game for Spurs to win, given what happened on Wednesday night and the euphoria that comes with it. And how do you now kind of come back down or bring emotions back down to deal with a Manchester City team that are hurting, a Manchester City team that many feel are better than Spurs, particularly over the long run. And I know the Champions League says otherwise. And then you make a number of changes. It was good that they don't get embarrassed. I thought that might have been in the offing as well, especially given the number of changes that you've made. And Spurs to finishing top four is not about this result. It's about what's to come. And I think that, again, they can probably run the rest of the remaining schedules. The big challenge for them is how do you continue to manage what's left on your schedule and the Champions League to come. Ajax over 2 legs. There's a lot of highs about the Champions League and the potential of getting a Champions League final, and then you have to somehow find the balance of what is your bread and butter with league football. Top 2 is out of the question. Top 4 is yours to win, and that is a managing of that seesawing emotion for Pochettino and Spurs now.
Yeah, okay, so Tottenham Hotspur have a lot to look forward to despite defeat in this game, and I'm sure they'll be delighted that they're into that semi-final of the Champions League as well. It ends an epic week of rivalry between these two great sides, but of course in the end Manchester City have got what they wanted from the league fixture, and Tottenham have succeeded in the Champions League.